Hey everyone, Kevin Lewis with Home Life Benchmark Titus Realty, and it's time for your March 2026 Fraser Valley Real Estate Market Update. As we leave winter behind, the biggest question on everyone's mind is, are we finally seeing an early spring real estate bloom? The short answer is, we are seeing the first signs of the thaw, but it's still far too early to say that the market is back. February did bring a welcome lift in sales compared to the incredibly sluggish numbers we saw back in January, but I want to be completely straight with you. While the bump in activity is great to see, we are still trailing well behind what is normal for this time of year. Right now, the market is defined by a massive holding pattern. We have elevated economic uncertainty casting a shadow over families' biggest financial decisions. Buyers are waiting for clearer signs that the broader economy has found its footing, and sellers are holding off, hoping for better prices into the spring. It's a staring contest, and today we're going to take a look at the data and see who might blink first. Let's dive into the numbers. Across all residential property types in the Fraser Valley, we only recorded 737 sales in all of February. Now, on one hand, that is a very solid month-over-month increase from the 530 sales we had in January. The market is waking up, but context is everything. That 737 figure still sits nearly 39% below our 10-year average for February, which is usually over 1,200 sales. But here's the really interesting part of February's data. New listings actually decreased month over month for the first time in a long time. We dropped from over 2,400 new listings in January down to 2,264 in February. Now, why is that interesting, you ask? Well, it's because the number is almost exactly on par with our 10-year average for new listings for the month of February. What this tells me is that sellers are starting to get more strategic and wake up to the reality of what's happening in our market. Many homeowners are looking at the competitive inventory out there and deciding to hold off. They're keeping their homes off the market right now, likely positioning themselves for the peak of the traditional spring market, if it does come at all, when they hope more buyers will be out looking. More buyers, of course, means more sales. Because things have been moving so slowly for so long now, our overall inventory still remains incredibly robust. We finished February with 6,104 active listings. To give you an idea of how much choice buyers have right now, our 10-year average for February is under 4,000. We're sitting with inventory levels that are 54% above normal for this time of the year. So, who holds the power in this market? The Fraser Valley Real Estate Board defines a buyer's market as a sales to active listing ratio of 12% or lower. A balanced market is 12 to 20%. So to put that into perspective, that means that if 12 out of every 100 homes list sells, it's still considered a buyer's market. In February, our combined market ratio nudged up to 12.1%. Technically speaking, we just stepped out of a strict buyer's market and into the very bottom edge of a balanced market. But make no mistake, conditions remain highly buyer-friendly. There is ample inventory and prices remain soft. They actually continued to fall last month. So let's break that down into exactly what it looks like by property type, because they are behaving quite differently from one another. Detached houses. This segment remains firmly in a buyer's market with a 9.3% ratio. The benchmark price continues to soften and is now sitting at $1,370,000. To put that in perspective, just last year that benchmark was over $1.5 million. That's a drop of roughly $130,000 in equity. Townhomes are the most resilient property type right now, and they typically are. They're sitting comfortably in a balanced market with a 15.8% ratio. The benchmark price has dipped slightly to $770,000, but they remain the sweet spot for both the downsizers and first-time buyers or upsizers, all buying into that same market at the same time. Condos are also hovering in a balanced market with a 13.4% ratio and a benchmark price of $488,000. So, what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're looking to buy your first home or upgrade to a larger, more expensive home, you're looking at what might be an incredibly rare window of opportunity. Historically, real estate has a seesaw effect. When interest rates drop, home prices shoot up. When rates spike, home prices come right down. Right now, we're experiencing a highly unusual situation where both prices and interest rates have decreased recently. This scenario defies normal market physics and has to end eventually. If you want to move up from that townhouse all the way up to a detached house, the gap in price between those two properties has narrowed significantly. I talked to a lot of buyers who are trying to time the bottom of the market. Here's the hard truth about timing the bottom. You only know you hit it after prices have started going back up. When the broader public realizes the market has bottomed out, the sidelines clear out, buyers flood back in, and you might end up in a bidding war again. If you have the financial stability to buy right now, you have the luxury of high inventory, low pressure, low competition, and softening prices. My advice? Take advantage of it. Now, what if you're looking to sell without upgrading or you're making a significant downsize? Well, my advice is pretty straightforward. If you don't have to do it right now, don't. You should probably wait. However, you do have to be comfortable with the uncertainty of how long you might have to wait for, because we honestly don't know how long that wait might be. Now, if you must list your home right now, whether for work, family, financial reasons, what be you need to understand what you're up against. With inventory 54% above the 10-year average and sales so far below the 10-year average, buyers have the luxury of being incredibly picky. They're looking for reasons to say no. If you want to sell in this market, aggressive, realistic pricing and pristine presentation are the only ways to stand out. You're in a beauty pageant against thousands of other homes. You cannot price your home based on what your neighbor got in 2023 or 2024. You have to price it for today's market. To wrap things up, I want to share my honest professional sentiment on where we're heading. I do believe we are likely to see activity increase in the spring, pushing us closer to those 10-year average numbers, but I'm not expecting any craziness like we saw back in 2021, 2022. As we move closer to the traditional spring peak, improved economic stability should encourage more of those hesitant buyers to re-enter into the market. But I want to heavily caveat that prediction. I, along with most other real estate experts, thought the exact same thing would happen last year, and clearly it did not. Timing the exact turnaround of this market remains a moving target. In times of elevated uncertainty, national headlines aren't going to help you make the right choice for your family. Getting hyper-local market insight is critical. If you're trying to figure out your next move, reach out to me today. We can pull the specific data for your exact neighborhood and property type so you can make an informed, confident decision. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next month.